Good morning. I like doing these things earlier in the morning. I don't know about you guys, but we moved them up so the leaders could be on our company's team call. So thanks for joining us early. If you're joining us for the first time, we do a lot of different things online, but one of the things we try to do is to help keep you into a rhythm, to get you working your business in a rhythm and starting each month well, finishing each month strong. And it is the 23rd of October, and we've got a week left in this month, actually, a week and a day. So you got plenty of time to finish strong. Good morning, Carol and Trey. And if you're on here, tell us where you're calling from. I'd love to know. We're losing our West Coast people because of our new time, but just like Kim just did, see how Kim put some names of some other people in the chat. That's one of the best things you can do for a couple reasons. It'll wake up the algorithms of Facebook and let everybody know we're live. Number one. Number two, anybody that you have on your team or that you're working with, maybe you're leading a pack of amazing people and you want them to learn some of these tools as to what they can be doing to be most productive the last week of the month. Pop their name in here. And even if they're not available or if they're in California and they're asleep still, they can watch this later. It'll be right here. It'll stay on Facebook. So what happens on Facebook does stay on Facebook, but it doesn't mean people can't share it. It doesn't stay only on Facebook because we put it on YouTube also. And Trey, my buddy and my sidekick, is here with us today again. And Trey has answers to most of your questions. So please feel free. You're not going to interrupt the video. We're not going to stop and, like, if you raise your hand, necessarily answer a question midstream. Although if it's an appropriate question, we might. But Trey can answer your questions just like we're having a dialogue back and forth. And are we back on the football stuff this morning? Oh, Carol says go Dogs. Trey says go Tigers. I say go Dogs too. And um, even if you're not a dog fan, can I tell you something? If you want to study leadership, and I think even Trey Bowden would agree to this, even though he's a purple and orange kind of dude. Um, I think he would agree that Kirby Smart is a great leader, motivator, um, rises to the occasion to get things done. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about this morning is rising to the occasion, the end of the month. I know we've talked about finishing strong a lot, but I wanted to take a little different perspective today. I do want you to gather your data. Um, how many of you are getting a little more comfortable and are seeing some reports? I know now you can see the next ship date and our data on the back end that has been updated and synced up with FedEx and our shipping department. So that's great. So what you want to do is, we used to just call it a PVC report, but the data is live. It's all over your new back office, and there's training about that everywhere. But if you go to boards and click on what's new and click on digital transformation, anything you need to know about the new back office is there. But what you want to do with a week left in the month, this is the big premise, and then we're going to dive into the details. What you want to be doing is gathering your troops. You know, in our business, I haven't said this recently, but everybody in this business has 5 people that are paid to help you. You have 5 employees. That's your upline that are paid a performance bonus based on your production, what you do. So they're incentivized to help you. And so you want to kind of have a board meeting. And right here at the end of the month, you're going to gather one of those, whoever your mentor is. Probably not going to get all 5 together. You could, I guess, if they're all 5 available, but you're going to get your data out, see where you stand at this moment in the month, check that against the goals you had to hit by the end of the month, and just figure out what you need to do to finish the process. Now I have a question for you guys, because when I got in this business, when Lori and I got in this business, we had never done anything like this before in our life. I mean, literally, it was totally new to us. And new things frighten you if you don't know what you're doing. So we were scared a little bit, but we were so excited about this being the answer and the resolution to our problem. We were resilient. That's one of Kirby's words. We were resilient to go get through our fears. Okay. But I have a question for you. And I would love for you guys to just do a thumbs up maybe in the chat, or if you want to describe your experience of what you did. But how many of you have ever been in a job, or maybe it was maybe you were a volunteer as a fundraiser, but how many of you ever had an activity or a job currently or in the past where you had quotas and you had to hit targets on a monthly basis? I'd love to just kind of get a feel for, is that in your blood? Has that been in your blood before? So how many of you have done something before where you had a monthly quota or goal that you had to hit, that was part of maybe your job evaluation or how well you were doing on the job? How many of you had one of those? Nobody. Well, Carol Garner says stars. So I don't know. I get maybe either she didn't do thumbs up, she did stars. Not monthly, but quarterly, says Carol. Okay, quarterly goals. So the reason I'm asking that question is I wanted to see what you all saw as a pattern that got produced because you had those goals. You had those quotas you had to hit. And let me, before I tell you a little bit and we dive into how to utilize that quota goal kind of system, let me tell you the pattern of what it's produced in our business. Didn't know this was going to happen, but we'll be 37 years of doing this every day, loving it, loving the people, just growing. David Beavers, I'm not sure if he created the quote or if it was, he's a great reader and a great student and teacher. But he said, our business is a course in personal growth, personal development, cleverly disguised as a business. And we have certainly found that to be true. So we've grown a lot, learned a lot, but here's like a fact or a stat that I've picked up. Probably 30 to 40% of our business that's done on a regular basis, if you look at our data, is done the last week of the month. Now, is that because nobody works the first part of the month? No, it's because what I've been telling you for over a year is so true, and that is urgency destroys procrastination. And when people set goals, human nature is to procrastinate. And if they'll have that checkup point like we're having right now, 1 week left in the month, and they'll see how far they're short, they're going to use urgency to finish their goals. So what does that mean? That means a lot of business occurs near the end of the month when you're in that final stretch to hit your target. How many of you have seen a track run or a horse race where the one that wins the race, he's sitting back there, maybe he's not coasting, but he's just not in the lead. He's not going to win. But all of a sudden, he kicks it into high gear and he finishes during that last stretch of the race. Anybody ever been to the Kentucky Derby and seen that? I've been to the Kentucky Derby once. And we didn't really have a photo finish. I didn't remember who won, honestly. But that final stretch, you see people kick it in because they realize if they don't, they're not going to win. They're not going to hit their goal. They're not going to hit the target. And our business is so much the same. I mean, it's so much the same. And what I thought I would do today, instead of just talking about urgency destroys procrastination, motivating you to get up off your derriere and get things done by the end of the month. I mean, hopefully for a lot of you, just knowing that you set a goal and you wanted to finish something and you haven't finished it yet and you realize that and see what's left to finish, hopefully you're responsible enough and a go-getter enough that you're going to not just let what you started slide through the cracks, that you are going to finish it. I hope that's a character trait in a lot of you guys. But let's talk about how we can really make that happen, okay? Let's switch screens here. Get my big head off the screen and switch. So these are probably not all of them, but these are tools that I use to create urgency. And they're going to have some spinoffs and some different things, but 3-way calls, events, follow-up, why now, and a quantity statement. So let's talk about 3-way calls first, okay? And there's a training that we did last Wednesday. It was really well attended. I think it was one of the most practical trainings we've ever done for you guys. and it was the mastering, it was the who, how, when, why, where, all the details of the three-way phone call. Okay. And that Trey has got that up online. It's still on the Facebook page, on this page under videos, but the cleaned up version without the timer and stuff is on youtube.com. If you go to youtube.com/make a life, that's our channel, and that video is there. Okay. It'd be great to watch that. But it was three-way phone calls. Um, they help people see clearly the reason why it's a good time to make their decision to move forward, because all the some of these tools are going to blend together. But when you use a three-way phone call, let's say that Carol has been talking to Fred about joining her in this business. Fred likes Carol. Fred trusts Carol, but he's kind of only hearing Carol's opinion about this. And so Carol brings me in, or Amy in, or somebody in as that third party expert on that three-way phone call, so that Fred gets third party validation. And right now, at the end of the month, there's no better time in the next 7 or 8 days to use three-way phone calls to help people that are sitting on a fence post, that are waiting. Maybe they have some unanswered questions, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. Maybe they just need a bit different picture, a different viewpoint. Like, for example, I will keep using the Carol and Fred example. Carol's trying to bring Fred in the business. Fred thinks Carol hung the moon, but he's a guy, she's a girl, and he kind of would love to hear a male perspective on this business, because he sees a lot of women and he wants to understand how another guy like him just thrives in this environment. So Carol getting me on the phone not only is just generically the three-way phone call a good move to bring that third-party validation in, but she's kind of thought through the process, and maybe she heard in Fred's voice when Carol took him to a meeting, Carol, that was great, but I felt like it was me and 2 or 3 guys and 20 women. If I feel outnumbered, you think there are any guys in the business that would talk to me about how they're doing this a little bit different? And you know what? I'm going to get on that call. And Carol probably knows because she's heard me before, but Carol could say, what could you say to him? And I said, you know what? I'm going to tell him that if somebody got me in this business and told me I had to do salad and jar parties, sourdough parties, and wine and wellness, and sit on a couch and just be emotional, that I probably wouldn't be in the business today, because that's just wasn't me. But if you tell me I can go meet somebody at Starbucks, tell them about Juice Plus on the golf course, take them a smoothie when we go on a jog together, or, wear my Juice Plus hat to the gym, or, just give one of my buddies a hard time saying, dude, you eat worse than I do, and I thought I ate bad till I started taking Juice Plus. And he said, what's Juice Plus? Well, it bridges the gap between what I do eat and what I should eat. And you need this more than I do. And I'll just give them a hard time, So guys don't do it the same way the ladies do it. We end up at the same result, but we do things a little differently. That little wine and wellness party for some guys just doesn't seem to fit, or the salad in the jar party just doesn't seem to fit. Although we've got people that have become millionaires using those tools, it might not fit the guy. So Carol gets me on the phone. We do the three-way call with Fred, and I give him comfort. Hey, dude, I've been doing this 36 years, made $1 zillion, and, there's a place for you here. Guys need good nutrition as much as the gals do. Guys want free time as much as the gals do. The ladies are just the gateways into food, nutrition, and caring for our kids. They're the gatekeepers of that in our homes. So they find out about this first. But the people making the most money in our business are couples doing it together, So be a great three-way phone call. But you can see that's just one scenario. Maybe you've got someone who's a chiropractor, and Mike Ewald would be a great three-way phone call. So you can kind of pick and choose your three-way phone calls. And just as a side note, that's one of the greatest things that I've gained out of going to Juice Plus events and Juice Plus live conferences, is swapping business cards, swapping contact information with people that are amazing leaders that I might want to get on a three-way phone call later. Okay. Lisa says she speaks that way to her guy friends too. That's good, Lisa. That's good. I guess that's called being a boss babe or something, So we do need to have that urgency daily uh, perspective. Okay. So I'm glad you shared that with us, Lisa. Let's go to the next um, idea or tool. If you have a question about three-way calls, I'll tell you what, we'll start doing this. I think this is a good practice. I'm not going to promise that Trey is going to answer them all while you're listening, because he may, I mean, Trey is awesome. Trey loves our product. He's into fitness, nutrition, being a great dad, having a nutritious home, but he's not immersed into our culture and business like I am. He's my partner in crime, helps me do technology. We do our podcast together. So he may or may not be able to answer your question about the business. If he can, he will. But if you could put your questions in here, we will get this chat printed out and get back into this um, chat dialogue of this video, and we'll make sure those questions get answered. So if you have a question, go ahead and throw it in here, and it'll get answered whether it's immediately or we do it afterwards. But just put your questions in there. So right now, if you have a question about a three-way call, the first thing I would do is I would go watch that short video on mastering the three-way call. If you've not become an expert on using this tool yet, it's the #1 tool that I use, and that video is great. But if that doesn't answer your question, put your question in here and we'll make sure it gets answered, okay? Now, events. And the graphic I have here that's the Boards logo, because I want you to go use the Boards app and go to the Campbell Team Boards, and I want you to go to the events. And this is pulling up some of the things that are happening like in the immediate future. Okay. So events are critical. Now, you don't always have an event when you need it. So one of the things that I learned how to do in the very beginning was if I had people that needed an event and there wasn't one coming up, I learned how to do events, do them myself. They were simple. It might just be in my living room with a whiteboard back then, or right now my living room with my iPad popping up on the big screen TV, or whatever your situation might be. It might just be you sitting down with your buddy with a legal pad. I did that. I can remember like the first week we're in the business at 11 o'clock one night, I had gone to my college roommate's house, and I had knocked on the door, and he hadn't even shut the main door to the house. The only thing that was there was the screen door. And I hollered at him, and we ended up laying on his bed, literally. It was a mess. And I got a legal pad out and explained the business to him, and they got in the business with us. So, I mean, whatever you got to do, you got to do events. But this is a picture, and there's a blown up version, much more detail on boards of the events that are coming up. Just like this Saturday, if you're in the greater Atlanta area, you can thank me for the date, Carol and others, because I made sure that we got to pick our date first, and we picked it on a day when there was not a home Georgia football game. Actually, it wasn't even a Georgia football game. It's a bye weekend, so no excuses. But as of 2 days ago, there were only 17 seats left for the event in Roswell this Saturday with Dr. David Phillips, Harvard MD, triathlete, ER doctor, just superstar athlete, promoter of, diet is one of your greatest weapons against disease. He's going to be speaking along with Stacy Whitmer, who is the regional director for the East Coast for the Juice Plus company. And she has an incredible background, not with products. She used to be in the PHARM pharmaceutical business. Now she's in the FARM pharmaceuticals business, but she has great training on some of the things we're talking about leadership skills, what it takes to build a business. And she's going to give you an update on the company this weekend. And then Kevin Salzer is going to close us out and talk a little about the business. He is a dad of 3, great friend, leader in our business. So it'll be a great event, about a 2-hour event on Saturday. All these are geared to be about 2-hour events. They're called growth and action events, and find those. But let me get away from that particular event topic. And there's a whole nother list of ones that are on Zoom that are virtual events, that if you want to stay in your pajamas on Saturday morning and invite somebody else that you're talking to that's in their pajamas on a Saturday morning, they can join you too. So you can do virtual events. But just like the three-way phone call, we're connecting these tools with the end of the month. So you need to help people. Let me give an example. You're talking to someone, and let's say you started the conversation because you met a neighbor at the grocery store in the produce aisle. I'm using that as an example because that's how Deanna Christopherson ended up recruiting Dr. Bill Sears, who's America's most renowned pediatrician. He's written 40 books on pediatrics and childhood health and nutrition, and he's on our advisory board. Just an amazing doctor. But that happened because of an exchange of conversation over produce. So let's just pretend you started a conversation with somebody talking about, hey, if you got a good tip on telling how avocados are ripe, and you start talking about squeeze it here, squeeze it there, this needs to be a little bit more yellow or green or darker color or whatever, and you find out a trick. We found out somebody showed Lori a tip or a trick, and it's like when you buy them, don't leave them on the counter. Don't put them in the refrigerator. Put them in the refrigerator submerged in water. Like get a pitcher or a bowl, and the avocados ripen and they stay fresh and usable for a long time if you keep them submerged in water in the refrigerator. That's a side tip, not part of the training. But anyway, so you start the conversation at the grocery store over a produce conversation, and you swap numbers and you promise to send them something. So you go to boards and you text them an amazing video about Juice Plus, and you're going through this back and forth process. But this person is all excited. They ask great questions. You can tell they're going to do this. You're just trying to get them to do it now to help them be a part of your numbers to close out your month versus just waiting. So you're trying to create some urgency for them to do it now. Three-way call would work great. If there's an event, if you had someone in the North Atlanta area and you could take them to hear Dr. Phillips this Saturday morning, that would definitely, I would say there's like a 99% chance that any intelligent person that walked in that room would be on Juice Plus when they left. Because all of my intelligent friends are on Juice Plus. I have friends that aren't, but all my intelligent friends are. So if you took an intelligent person, no, I'm just kidding. But it's a serious stat or fact, but I don't want to label people intelligent or unintelligent, but it's a funny way to say it. All my intelligent friends are on Juice Plus. But that event would close them. So if you have an event around you, or if there's a Zoom event, or you could create a Zoom event, you could say, hey, Carol could call Kurt and she could say, hey, would you help me do an event? I've got like 6 or 8 people. Stacy's got 2 or 3. Dr. Pole's got 4 or 5. And they are on the fence. And I think we could get 60 or 70% of them to make a decision before the end of the month. I don't have an event. They're not all local. Could we do a Zoom event and you talk about the importance of getting positioned at the end of the month, answer all their questions, and kind of help us close that scenario? Sure, we'd pull that event. If you're in the North Atlanta area, you've got one already on the books at an amazing venue this Saturday morning, the 26th. And there's a list of the other ones here. You got the 26th, November 2nd, November 8th, November 9th, 14th, and there's more. That's just some of them, okay? So events is a second tool that you should be utilizing here at the end of the month. And just because there's not an event, don't get lazy. Create the event. Call your upline, call your partners, your mentors, your sidekicks, and say, hey, let's do a Zoom event. You get your 6 or 8 people on there. I'll get my 6 or 8. You tell your story. I tell my story. And we help them make decisions to close the month out. So events. That's number 2 behind three-way calls. I want you to also remember that the fortune is in the follow-up. And Trey and I made these slides and worked on this yesterday. There's one thing I want to talk to you about. I'm not sure if this is the best place. I'm going to bring it up right now. Follow-up includes a lot of things. Sometimes it just includes, hey, did you watch that video? Hey, how was that smoothie sample I sent you? Was it amazing? Did you enjoy it? What did you mix it with? You're just following up. And you do know that this is a fact, not just a Juice Plus fact, that 80% of all sales or transactions occur on or after the 5th presentation, the 5th conversation. So there's not a whole lot of success rate in marriage or in sales of proposing on the first date. Just remember that it's those repetitive conversations that are not high pressure where you come to that conclusion. And how do you know when you've done enough follow up and it's time to close? This is a really good question. Do you all ever struggle with, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be that person that when I'm not around and there's somebody else there talking to, hey, watch out. Here comes that Juice Plus lady. She's going to try and sell me everything she's got in her car right now. You know, do you want to be that kind of person, or do you want to have these happy, healthy family, good nutrition, bridging the gap, kids can eat it free, would love for you to join me kind of conversations with no pressure? We all want the second, we want the latter. So you're following up, you're answering questions, you're sending more information as they need it. But here's one of the triggers that helps me when I know it's time to go for the close. I will ask a question, something like this, and this might be a good one to write down. Okay. Or you can go back and watch the video and hear it again. But this might be a good thing for you to write down is, let's pretend I'm talking to, I don't know, who in the chat do I want to talk to? Let's talk to Margaret. And let's pretend that Margaret was that person I met at the produce counter, and I've sent her a video. And we've chit-chatted, and I sent her stuff for her son about getting it free until he was 26 years old. And I sent her a sample of a complete smoothie. I mean, she's been really interested, but I hadn't been able to close her yet. So here's a question you can ask somebody that seems to be in that maybe mode forever. Margaret, do you have any questions about Juice Plus that I haven't answered for you yet? And you be quiet. Margaret, is there any questions about Juice Plus? I know you love it. I know you've enjoyed it, but are there any questions that you have that I've not answered for you yet? I want to make sure I answer those, because I know you want to go ahead and order the product, but you deserve to get all your questions answered first. So the only reason you don't go for the close, and one in my mind, is if they're interested and they've shown interest, anybody, everybody, they deserve to have their questions answered before they spend money to make it and make a decision. So I want to, if they're still they seem to be not delaying, but maybe stalling, or just not, there's nothing negative. They're just not making a decision. Maybe there's a lingering question that they have not just seen an opening in your conversations, in your follow-up, to ask that question. So put them on the spot and say, Margaret, do you have any questions about Juice Plus that would help you in your decision-making process that I haven't answered yet? And just let a little silence be the killer of time for a moment. It's a great way to do, but that's one piece of the follow-up that can help you know when you've sent enough information, you've sent them enough research studies, they've watched enough videos, they've tried enough samples, that it's time to close. And it's time to close. And this is not part of my slide that I was planning on sharing with you, but do not give them a yes or no question when you try to close them. Do not give them a yes or no question. Are you ready to buy Juice Plus? Yes or no. That's not what you want to ask them. You want to say, hey, great, Margaret, I'm glad I answered all your questions. There's really 4 options as to how you can partner with Juice Plus. You can become a customer. You can become a customer and get a free child, grandchild, niece, nephew, or deserving child on the product. Maybe you want to partner with the Juice Plus company so you get the best price. You can do a $52 application fee, and you'll get your own sales profit back. You'll get commission. You'll get bonuses and things, and you'll be able to get other customers on the product. So you can get the best price for you, still get your free child, or kind of as a plus, you could partner plus, and if you and your spouse got our quad, which I know you want, which is the fruit, veggie, berry, and the omegas, and it just got complete or something for you to try for breakfast, for a healthy breakfast for you and your kids would get it for free. You'd be a partner plus with our company, and you'd get $100 back, the sales profit, the commissions, and you'd be in the best place to earn the most money. And then you'd have, if you wanted to take it to the next level, you could get a few customers and make your product free, or you can do what I did, kind of starting one of those early positions. But my wife and I, we made a decision once we understood the value of this product and this business, that we wanted to create life-changing generational income for our family and have our time available for the choices we wanted to make. And we pulled the trigger and decided to do that. And I can help you do that too. So, Margaret, now that I've got all your questions answered, which of those options makes the most sense for you? So they have to pick an option, not give you a yes or a no. Okay. So that's how you do follow up. And the fortune really is in the follow up. Now, another thing that's super important is understanding why now is the right time. Okay. It's the end of the month. And you've got several different scenarios here. So when you're trying to create urgency at the end of the month, it might be for a prospect to become a customer. It might be for a prospect to become a partner that's join to join you in the business. Remember, there's two huge needs that we meet out there. And I don't think one's necessarily greater than the other, but our product meets a need and bridges the gap, a huge gap nutritionally in what people eat and don't eat in terms of fruit, vegetables, and plant-based whole food product in their body to fight disease. We meet that need. But we also meet a financial need of bridging the gap between the income they are making and what they really need to make so they can start part-time, bridge that gap, and then they got decisions where they can change and make this their full-time generational reliable income for their family business opportunity. Okay. So we're meeting both those needs. But why? So we're saying, why is now the right time to do either one of those things? Okay, product or join the business. And let's talk about. I mean, product wise, go ahead right now, get on the product so you can start changing the breakfast of your kids from donuts to something healthy and a smoothie. Start right now getting on the capsules. Your kids can get it for free. Answer all their questions. You can go down videos and doctors and research. We can close them on the product, but sometimes closing somebody on the business is a little more difficult. And it could be someone in the business that you're maybe Lisa has a person in her downline that she needs to see the benefit in being qualified for the first time ever, qualifying their business, or a promotion somebody's trying to get from QSC to sales coordinator so they can be at the top commission level. Or maybe it's somebody just getting started and making Partner Plus. Okay. So here's a couple of things that I want you to realize. The easy thing for somebody to do is to do what the world does, and that's to be lazy, look for an easy way out, and for an excuse or a reason to put it off to delay the effort to get something done. Remember, human nature is to procrastinate. That's what we do if we're not inspired to do otherwise. That's why you get up and you have a quiet start so you can be intentional about life. That's why we named our podcast Life. It's what you make it. It's not life, it's what happens. No, it's life, it's what you make it. It's about being intentional. But people will procrastinate unless they're inspired, taught, educated, trained, motivated to be intentional. And so one of the best ways to do that is with truth. And the truth is that if you're brand new in this business and you just signed up yesterday, it behooves you. It's better for you. The truth is, the best thing you can do is get your orders in place to get your 900 points by the end of the month, because you're going to get paid now instead of delaying getting promoted to that position a whole nother 30 days. If you will sign up, get positioned now before the end of the month, then the wholeness of the new month, the whole month of November, you're going to be paid at that new higher pay level. Why would you delay that when all you got to do is just get your ducks in a row, make a decision to do it now? I mean, Partner Plus, you get 30 days. You get a week to, you get a 10 days to express track. Let me tell you something. It's like a 24-hour deal. It's not hard. It's you, your spouse, and if you don't want to get a quad, you get a trio. It's you, your spouse, and your mom or stepmom, and so that's the grandmom to your kids, and you get 3 kids on it for free. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's kind of like the best way to buy Juice Plus. It makes the most sense. That's why now is a good time. Someone who's trying to qualify their business Why now? Why is now the good time to qualify your business? Well, you're going to miss out on another paycheck of not getting your bonus. It's money you're leaving on the table, number one. Number two, a year from now, 6 months from now, do you want to have a business of people that are just like, I'll get qualified next month? Or do you want to have a 12 club with 12 qualifiers because you set the example and put that in place, that you understand that the least significant part of your paycheck is your performance bonus in month one because you don't have any team yet. But 12 months down the road, the most important part of your paycheck is your performance bonus because it's what you get paid on what everybody else on your team does. It's the smallest part of your paycheck in the beginning that you work the hardest to get. But as you build your business, the whole goal in this business is for that performance bonus, qualifying for your bonus, PBQ, performance bonus qualified business. While you're doing that, that's where the majority of your income is going to come from down the road, so that your family can stop trading hours for dollars and create that reliable, consistent, faithful income that gives you choices to do what God's called you to do. Okay? So now is the time to start that. Why is now the time to push and finish getting from QSC to sales coordinator? You need to be able to explain that. If somebody's a QSC and they don't know or understand at the end of the month, you know what? They're going to say, well, I saw this thing. I can start over next month. I can restart. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to stay at 10% when you could be at 15%? Why would you want to stay at 10% in performance bonus only when you could be at 15% in promote out bonus? Next month, you could be at the top commission level if we just finish what we started. And next month, you'll be paid as a sales coordinator. And if this is the end of your 90 days, your bonus is going to be so much bigger if you do it now versus waiting just for the normal fast track bonus when you restart. You cannot restart your express track bonus. So learn how to use the truth, the power of our compensation plan, the power of promotion and rewards and bonuses that always points to now. That why delay getting paid more? Why delay creating a position where you earn more? Why leave all that money on the table for 30 more days just because procrastination controls your life? Doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. I see a lot of that, the procrastination that was so present in people's lives coming out of COVID, where they just got dependent upon the government for everything. I see so much of that. I see that shadow being lifted and people realizing that for things to happen, they have to be involved in that process. One of our podcasts we're doing is about the role faith plays in your business and in your life. And one of the real tidbits for me was that faith carries a shovel. I can have faith, I can believe, but I also have to be engaged. I can have faith that it's possible to have this, drainage ditch, for lack of just, and this is a literal shovel like that. It's possible to have this amazing drainage ditch the water can flow through and not flood my basement anymore. But there's going to be evidence that I believe that when I've got a shovel in my hand and I'm a part of the process. Okay. So that's what we want to convey. Okay. That's what we want to do here at the end of the month. All right, let's keep going. This is a little series that we did on the return of the entrepreneur. A lot of good nuggets and videos, and you can watch it in pieces. You can watch it all at once. It's on our YouTube channel too, but it's got some of the right things and the right reasons why now is the time to be an entrepreneur. And, when you're talking to somebody and trying to close them at the end of the month, one of the things they need to understand is when you become an entrepreneur, you get control of your time back. When you become an entrepreneur, you get to live a life where you're not trading hours for dollars. When you build a business that's not requiring you to do everything, when you can train and equip an army to be on a mission with you, the whole ball game changes. Instead of you swapping your hours for a paycheck, now you're in control of how you get to invest your hours and your time. Okay. So you might want to grab that and watch that if you have time. It's another resource for you. But this is our business model. And it's explained in those videos too, but it talks about the 4 quadrants direct sales, network marketing, franchising, and traditional business, and how our business model is a hybrid across of all four of those. That's a great thing to explain at the end of the month for someone that doesn't understand our business. I go over that in several of those videos, but you can take this and draw it on a napkin and explain our business model and explain to somebody why this business model makes sense for them now, because it's a new hybrid business model that takes the best of each of these, but refrains from pulling in the negatives. Like with franchising, they have territories. We don't have territories. They have big, upfront fees. We don't. With traditional business, you have a job and a boss. We don't. We own our own business, but we get the benefits and the expense allowance and the college tuition reimbursement. We get those things, but we didn't pull in the negatives of traditional business. So you can study those models, watch the videos, but that's great information to have on the tip of your tongue when you're sharing at the end of the month. But all the more reason, if you're not ready to share that, bring in somebody on a 3-way phone call that could share that for you. Okay. All right. Let's bring this thing kind of to a close. The last thing I want to share with you is, if this end of the month doesn't feel like it's working out for you like it should, this could be the reason. Remember that little snarky voice I used to say, okay, here comes Carol, the Juice Plus lady. She's going to try and sell you everything in her bag before she leaves. She's going to really close hard. One more conversation. She's going to try and close me. Nobody wants to be that person. Nobody. And Carol's not that person. I'm just picking on Carol. But here's how you avoid that ever happening again. This may not be the answer for the next week, okay? But your last week of the month will be forever successful if you make sure that you have enough conversations in your pipeline. So pretend like those black squares they're supposed to look like conversation pipelines, conversation bubbles in a black pipe, okay? So, and this will really flourish and come to life for you maybe by the end of your third or fourth month. When you're entering that fourth month, you're going to start the month with so many conversations that haven't hit that fifth conversation yet, where 80% of them are ready to close. They're conversations in process. They've watched the video. You're in the follow-up sequence. You haven't yet closed that conversation loop with, hey, are there any questions that I've yet to answer for you? We talked about that. But if you come to the end of the month with a quantity of conversations in your pipeline, you can have the fun, casual, awesome conversations and bring enough of that quantity to a quality finish. Say it a different way. If you have enough conversations in your pipeline, some are always going to be ready now, some are never going to be ready, and some are going to be ready later. But the only way to not have high pressure closing conversations with everybody you're talking to, if you need 10 customers and you're having 11 conversations, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on people to close 10 out of 11. But if you have 100 conversations going on, 10 are almost naturally going to close just by the law of averages. So why not have enough conversations to make closing out a month easy, because you've got follow-up places to follow up to choose from. You've got people to do 3-way phone calls to choose from. You've got people to take to an event to choose from. It's not like you're got a finite little bitty number and you got to close all of them. It's not fun. So quantity of conversations, the more people you talk to, the easier this business is. You're thinking like, well, talking to more people is more work. That means it's not easier, but the way you get more results in this business is having more happy, fun, healthy conversations than a few high pressure conversations. I bet everybody on here has been at a place in their life where they were trying to close out a goal, a deadline, and they put pressure on people. How many of you have gotten a text message or a phone call from some politician and they put the squeeze on you? Anybody? I'm about to go insane. I mean, these politicians are telling me how much they love me 10 times a day. I love you so much is the opening line of their text message. I'm like, well, maybe I like you, maybe I'll vote for you, but this love thing's not really what I was thinking about, you know? So don't put pressure on people. It's not fun. People will run in the other direction. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Keep moving. So, next week, y'all are going to put me on the spot and I'm going to do a live power hour with you. We've set them up and we've had great, honestly, great attendance on these power hours. But the cool thing is the way we did it, it's not a live power hour normally. It's 24 hours a day on our website. And you join and play this video, which was a Zoom call originally that we recorded for this purpose. No, I guess it wasn't a Zoom call. We just made that video. And you can do it with me, my voice guiding you, or just with text prompts so you have silence. But it takes you through 45 minutes to an hour of critical activity so that you can get focused on your business. But the good thing is you can do it whenever you want to. I'm a morning person. I am not a night owl. So you would not catch me doing this at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I mean, I know there's some of you on here because I see Voxer messages. There's some of you that are on Voxer at 2 in the morning, whether it's like you have unusual sleeping habits or you don't sleep much, or that's your therapy to put you back to sleep. I don't know. But next week, next Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. And if Travis, and they changed the call this week to Thursday, which I don't know why they did, but if they're not going to do them on Wednesdays, we'll go back to our normal time. But next week, October 30th, 9:30 a.m., and I'll be leaving the next day to go see the dogs eat the gators. We're going to the Georgia-Florida game. It's a fun trip we do every year. I hope y'all have a fun college football trip or something. There's nothing better than being with a bunch of friends and celebrating doing that together. That's a fun trip. So next week on October 30th, that's confusing. 10:30 is the date. It's not our normal time of 10:30. So on 10:30, October 30th at 9:30 a.m., not 10:30, we'll be doing a live power hour, and I'll walk you through that. And Trey and I will work on the format a little bit, but I think we're going to have some time for some Q&A on that call just to make it a little more interactive. So we'll give you some updates and some more info on that. Be on the lookout on social media and on this page. We'll probably do a reel or something and explain a little more details about it as we get closer and closer. Okay. Our Peachtree Boot Camp is coming up. Okay. And January 31st and February 1st, there's a leadership for sales coordinators and above all day on Friday. The boot camp starts Friday with dinner with our first session Friday night. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. I've never had Kerry Daigle come to Atlanta, and he's an ex-ESPN boxing promoter. He's one of my dear friends, a godly guy with his wife, Mickey. They're going to be there with us. Stacy Whitmer's going to be there, our regional director, and lots more. I mean, Sharon's going to be there she's a nurse, and she's the national marketing director in Atlanta, and Sharon McClellan, and she's going to be doing the product. We always have lots of physicians and doctors, but I wanted a nurse who's a mom who loves her kids, loves her husband, loves her family, explain to you the benefits of Juice Plus as a family intervention for nutrition. So you're going to hear Sharon talk about that, but I wanted to show you that. But I just did a video series on becoming a boot camp pro. That's kind of a catchy title, but here's what it's about. There's two people that will benefit from watching this. One is the attendee as to why would you go to a boot camp? How do you use a boot camp in the rhythm of your business? What happens at a boot camp? What does it look like? And then the other person that I would love to see this is a person who is going to or wants to host a boot camp to find out how you maximize that event and make it the best it can be for the people that are coming. So that's a short video series you can watch to do that. So if you want to go to Peachtree Boot Camp, it will sell out. It is what we do to kick off the new year. Go to peachtreebootcamp.com to get tickets. And I don't know how many are left, honestly, but it'll sell out soon. So just grab your tickets when you can, okay? And this is really gaining a lot of momentum because people have bought into the rhythm of I need to plan my week, not just let my week happen. I need to take control of my week, be proactive, intentional, not reactive and passive. And so this is not some long drawn out training. This is like kind of like, think of it as a cattle prod where I'm just going to poke you. It's not going to hurt, I promise. On Monday mornings with a quote, some motivation, something that currently makes sense to wake you up, to make you think about, gosh, I need to plan my week out. Kurt's been talking about this. I need to plan my week out. My team members need this. They need to plan their week out. You can just share. Anybody can just text wake up to that number and they'll be added to a list. And I promise you, it won't be a daily, obnoxious, constant political type onslaught in your life. It'll be once a week on Mondays, and you can just type X wake up. There's instructions at the bottom of each message. If you want to, get off and stop getting the messages, boom, you're off. Okay, no problem. All right. Now, I'm having the most fun doing this with Trey. I did this a few years ago, and then COVID hit, and we kind of got lost in the shuffle. But what I've found is, and you may find this too, a lot of people love to get information or they need to be entertained or motivated, or they want to learn a new skill. They want to do that, but they don't have this undistracted, devoted time extra in their life when they can do that. So they need to do something where they can multitask. And to me, that's where I love my podcast. I mean, that's what I do in the car, working out, in the deer stand. When I got one ear with a podcast and one ear listening for the deer to come sometimes, or in the morning during my quiet time. There's several pastors and leaders I follow that I'll listen to a podcast. So we're doing a podcast so you can multitask, and a couple episodes a month. Trey Bowden and I are doing them together, and I think you're going to get a real interesting perspective on life principles, some directly related to our business, some more generic that are just faith, spiritual leadership lessons. But I think the cool thing is by having Trey and I both on there, I'm like the youngest baby boomer. I think my birthday was the last year that they were still called baby boomers. So I'm not quite a Gen X. I'm the last year of the boomers. And Trey, what are you? Are you a millennial? I think that's what you told me you were. You're a millennial. You're not a good grief, phone call. You're not a Gen Zer. So I think Trey's a millennial. I think you can be Trey's age and be a millennial. He's no spring chicken. I mean, he's got some years on him too, just not as many as me. So don't let him fool you. He's got some gray in his beard too. But we do it together, and it's called Life. It's what you make it, not. And you can find it on any of these podcast things or on makealife.com/podcast. You can find it, but it's fun, and they're not long. They're 20, 30 minutes, and we're just having a blast, and would love for you to join us on that. And then here's what's happening the rest of the upcoming 30 days. November the 6th, November the 13th, and November the 20th. Okay. Those are dates of upcoming events. And then you can find me anywhere on social media at Kurt Beavers. Sorry we went a little long this morning, but I hope you have an amazing day. And this will be on the website recorded for you. Be blessed, and see you next time.